DONNE Media TV is a place to be. I welcome you once more in today's session, Bible and Facts. My name is SASA DONNE. Let's go by the second part of who Lily and Trichrist is. Let's go now by the 10 proofs that clearly demonstrate how the papacy perfectly matches these biblical descriptions. But first and foremost, we must realize that these teachings of the Catholic Church-State Union being the Antichrist is nothing surprising, because the majority of Christian churches today has begun to believing and teaching this. Indeed, the leaders of Protestant Reformation has uprooted and taught this truth by observing the teachings of Martin Luther, the most well-known among the reformers. He is also the founder of Lutheran Church, whereby he once said that we here are of the conviction that the papacy is the seat of the true and real Antichrist. Now, here is another reformer and theologian, John Calvin. He accurately agreed with Martin Luther on this very issue, whereby he once said that some persons think us too severe and censorious when we call the Roman Pontiff Antichrist. I shall briefly show that the Paul's words in 2 Thessalonians are not capable of another interpretation than that which applies them to the papacy. There is also another famous pastor, Charles Spurgeon. He is a known preacher and a theologian in today's Christianity. He has proclaimed something by saying that it is the duty of every Christian to pray against the Antichrist, and to what Antichrist is. No sane man ought to raise the question if it is not properly in the Church of Rome and even in the Church of England. There is nothing in the world that can be called by that name. Here is a crucial point you really need to know. The word Protestant has at its very root, or its very first part, the word protest. So the Reformation was a protest against the abuses and false teachings of the Catholic Church. But unfortunately, the most of the Protestant churches nowadays have forgotten what they are protesting against. It is no longer politically correct to this biblical truth about the Antichrist to be pronounced. But right here on DONNE Media TV, through this session, Bible and Facts, we are committed to sharing the truth, regardless of how it can sound uncomfortably, for we want you to avoid and to be aware of the deception concerning Antichrist in order to be prepared for Jesus' return. Now, the following are the 10 proofs that clearly shows who really Antichrist is. Proof number 1. The papacy arose out of the highly populated area. In the previous part, through the Bible itself, we have seen that the Antichrist will arise out of the sea, where we saw that it represents the peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. So, the papacy itself fulfills this reason accurately as it arose in Western Europe. As you may know, the Western Europe was the center of world civilization at that time. Proof number 2. The papacy received its power, throne, and authority from Rome. Now, according to the history records, there is no doubt that pagan Rome transferred its power, throne, and even its capital city directly to Papal Rome, which is the Catholic Church state, because the capital of empire was transferred from Rome to Constantinople by permitting the papacy to become the chief of power in Western Europe. Now, by getting this point well understood, let us tackle a bit to the church history, whereby it tells us that the Roman Church put itself into the place Roman World Empire, of which it is the actual continuation. The Pope, who calls himself a king, and Pontifex Maximus is Caesar, the successor. Now, as you can see, Clearly, the Catholic Church matches this second proof. Proof number 3. The papacy is a global power. At this now time, no one can complain that the Catholic Church has worldwide influence, because the leaders of most powerful nations and states in the world gathered to highly honor the Pope, because the power and influence that papacy held during Middle Ages and even still having the present days is definitely undeniable. Indeed, the word Catholic itself means universal. Now, there is no doubt that the proof number 3 matches the Catholic Church. Proof number 4. The papacy claims to be God on earth and forgive sins. Now, according to our previous session, we have seen how the Bible itself defines blasphemy as claiming to be God and even proclaiming the power to forgive sins. And now, this is how the papacy matches this proof. Does the priest truly forgive the sins, or does he only declare that they are remitted? The priest does and truly forgive the sins, and in virtue of the power given to him by Christ. Now, as you may know, this is exactly the entire Catholic confessional system. It is a man-made counterfeit to God's plan of salvation, but seriously and frankly speaking, God only can forgive sins. Another point is that not only papacy claims to forgive sins, but they also believe that the Pope is equal to God. You can ask me that how, but allow me to take you back some years down the line. In 1903, Pope Leo XIII mentioned something through discord, but the supreme teacher in the church is the Roman Pontiff. Union of minds, therefore, requires complete submission and obedience of will to the church and to the Roman Pontiff as to God himself. Now, before considering it, here is another quote from the same Pope, which says that we, the Pope, hold upon this word the praise of God Almighty. Now, these statements are not something tiny of blasphemy. Proof number 5. The papacy reigns for exactly 1260 years. As we have seen in the previous part, one day in Bible prophecy equals to a year, as it was prophesied that the Antichrist will reign for 42 prophetic months, that will be exactly equal to 1260 literal years. But you may ask whether this was the matter. But the fact is, Pope Rome received the full supremacy in Europe in 53 AD, and on this date there was no longer an opposition to Emperor Justinian's decree by giving the Pope control and power. Now, for this reason, the papacy enjoyed an abundant power over the nations of Europe throughout the Dark Ages, when the people were kept in a spiritual and intellectual darkness. Then in the year 1798, the papacy received what was known as a deadly wound when the Pope was taken captive by the French general Belial. This reason marked the end of the papacy dominance in Europe. Now allow me to ask you this question. How many years passed between 538 AD and 1798 AD? When we do the mathematics, this will be equal exactly to 1260. That is a perfect fulfillment of the prophecy. Absolutely, this is yet another specific proof that the papacy is the Antichrist, a title that no one else can claim. Proof number 6. The papacy received a deadly wound, which is now healed. Once more time, the papacy received this deadly wound in 1798, when Napoleon's general Belial took the Pope captive by showing the vulnerability and weaknesses of the papacy, definitely ending their 1260-year reign. Now, By going back in the Bible, the book of Revelation 13 verse 3 prophesied that this deadly wound will be in some days healed. And from this point, no one will argue that the universal power, influence, and prestige the papacy now possess. Indeed, ecumenical movement has the goal of uniting all Christians' faith together and putting an end to the protest that once helped to define the Protestant faith. By noticing these words from Bishop Tony Palmer, who was once invited by the prominent televangelist Kenneth Copeland to speak in an ecumenical assembly of church leaders from across the country, Tony himself said that the protest is over. The protest is over. Not only that, Tony Palmer claims that the protest against the papacy is over, but he boldly stated the following: if there is no more protest, how can there be a Protestant church? Now a movement is underway to undermine the Protestant faith and reunite with Rome. The Pope himself spoke at the same event that if a simple man amongst the people who once said it is, I have never seen God begin a miracle without him finishing it, well, he will complete this miracle of unity. What you have to realize here is that the Pope's reaction for unity is embraced by Kenneth Copeland and the full of Protestant leaders. The Vatican is at the center of pushing this one world religion and even are beginning to embrace it. But be aware, don't be deceived, because the Bible reveals that this unity will lead to widespread deception and actually the mark of the beast. Friends, unity is a good thing, but not at the expense of the truth. This unity of Rome would have been unheard of by the founding fathers of the United States of America, the nation which was built on the principles of religious liberty, a nation without a king, and the church without pope. But the Bible reveals that the deadly wound will be healed, and prophecy is being fulfilled before our eyes. Proof number 7. The papacy receives the worship. The beast in the Bible prophecy represents a nation, and the beast of Revelation 13. The Antichrist will be unique from others, and that will be both a nation and a religious power that receives the worship. No need of doubting that the papacy matches this proof as well. We all normally know that the papacy is a religious power, but did you know that the Vatican City, the headquarters of the papacy, is actually a nation? In fact, the Vatican is the smallest and tiny country in the world, taking up just 2 square miles inside of Rome, Italy. Despite its minuscule size, Vatican is most of the powerful nations in the world, but it receives worship from across the world. Proof number 8. The papacy has persecuted God's people. The Bible prophesied that this Antichrist power will shed the blood of God's people or the saints. The fact that the papacy matches this proof clearly than another organization in the world's history, that the Church of Rome has shed more innocent blood than another institution that has ever existed among mankind. It will be questioned by no Protestant who has a competent knowledge of history. According to the different historians, they estimate that over 50 million of lives were destroyed by the papacy during the Dark Ages over the matters of religion. To his credit, Pope John Paul II admitted and apologized for this act of bloodshed, but this cannot be undone. These horrible atrocities. John Wesley, the founder of Methodist Church, boldly stated, referring to the papacy, that he is in an emphatical sense the man of sin as he increases all manner of sin above measure, and he is too properly styled the son of perdition, as he has caused the death of numberless multitudes, both his opposers and followers. It is that exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, claiming the highest power and the highest honor, claiming the prerogatives which belongs to God alone. Considering how heavily involved the papacy has been with God's people over and over years, it will be an incurable shock if they were not prophesied in the Bible. Proof number 9. The papacy has a man as its leader. The Roman Catholic Church fulfills proof 9 also, because the Pope is widely known as a visible head of this worldwide power. Now, according to Roger Williams, the founder of the First Baptist Church in America, once he have said this about the Pope: the pretended vicar of Christ on earth, who sits as God over the temple of God, exalting himself not only above all that is called God, but over the souls and kind consciences of all his vessels, yea, over the Spirit of Christ, over the Holy Spirit, yea, and God himself, speaking against the God of heaven, thinking to change times and laws, but he is the son of prediction. Proof number 10. The papacy has the number 666. The number 666 has been the source of great fear and intrigue for many, but there is no need of being duped on the meaning of this. This number, many people has mistakenly believed it to be the mark of the beast, but the Bible itself says, "Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. Revelation 13:18. Now, 666 is the number of the beast and of the particular man in that organization. So you are wondering who this man could be. But the Pope, recognized leader of the beast power. One of the names often given to the Pope is Vicarius Filii Dei, which is a Latin for vicar, the Son of God, or substitute for the Son of God. We have seen it before that this is a position that the papacy claims. Realize what happens when you does the addition of Roman numeral values for his name. These numbers add up to exactly, you guessed it already, 666, the number of the beast, and it is the number of a man, just as the Bible prophesied. I thank you for staying tuned on DONNE Media TV. We are looking forward to being together in the third part of this session.